We, along with Jeff and Els, and our entire church and many, many others, are celebrating the release and return home of Jeffery Woodke, who almost 6.5 years ago, while serving in Niger, was kidnapped and has been held hostage all this time until his recent release last Monday, Monday of last week. And Jeff and Els have been long-term members of our church. They are longtime missionaries as well. They also serve with YWAM, Youth with a Mission, where their focus has been the people of Niger, and they've served there faithfully for well over 25 years. It has been an honor. My name is Dennis McGuire, and I have served as their pastor these past 13 years or so. And in a moment, I'm going to ask Jeff and Els to come up. Jeff has a prepared statement that he is going to read. When he is through reading his statement, he will also entertain a few pre-planned questions, and then we'll see how Jeff is doing. There may be some other questions that he answers as well. And so we ask that you just be sensitive to that, and just know that everyone is so excited to have our brother back. And so it's my joy, my honor to introduce my friend, my brother in Jesus Christ, Jeff Woodke.
Thank you. I'm Jeff, and this is my wife, Els. Good afternoon, and thank you all for coming out. I'm going to read from a prepared statement, and then I'll take a few limited questions. There are other hostages still being held in the Sahel, and an ongoing investigation that I do not wish to compromise, hence the need to limit questions. Can you all understand that? I hope so. First off, I want to thank God, my family, my friends, as well as the U.S. government for their labors to secure my release. My wife and a network of friends and organizations, including Crisis Consulting International, this church, and YWAM, Youth with a Mission, worked tirelessly for 6.5 years to bring me home. 6 years, 5 months, 5 days, and 12 hours, give or take a few minutes. I was a hostage. I owe them my life. Additionally, I have high praise for the Biden administration regarding their successful efforts to bring me back. So Joe, if you're listening, thank you. On Monday, March 20th, about 9 a.m., I was released by Jamaat Nusrat al-Islam wal-Muslimin. I had been held as a hostage against my will since the 14th of October 2016. It's a long time. 6 years, 5 months, 5 days, and about 12 hours, as well as I can recollect. Special forces from a third-party nation met me at the release point situated in a remote desert location. I was released along with French citizen Olivier Dubois, a journalist who worked in Mali. He had been held by Jenin for almost 2 years. Olivier and I were together for a few days prior to our release, and that was it. I was treated brutally and with inhumanity during my captivity. I was beaten and held continually in chains for 16 hours a day, every day, 7 days a week. I was kept in isolation. I suffered injuries and illness which were never medically treated. There goes my cane. After my 5th year, I lost all hope and began to hunger strike in order to secure better treatment and to be able to communicate with my family and country. This corresponded with an increase in activity to negotiate my release, or so I was informed by JNIM. That's the acronym for the group that was holding me. After my demands were met, I ended my initial hunger strike, although I was obliged to begin another shortly before I was released. After my release, I underwent medical evaluation and treatment while in Niamey, Niger, until my condition stabilized and I could travel. I was then flown to San Francisco, California, where I received further evaluation and treatment at the University of California, San Francisco Medical Center. I finally flew home to McKinleyville on Monday, March 27th in the evening to find a large welcome committee from my church. That was wonderful. At this point, I hope to continue visiting doctors and physical therapists and to take care of a myriad of other details you cannot imagine. One of the things I would like to do is to work towards the release of the 7 foreign hostages that still remain in captivity in the Sahel, mostly in Mali as far as we know. A Romanian, an Australian, a South African, a German priest, and 3 Italians. A family was captured. It is unsure exactly which terrorist group is holding them, at least for me, it's unsure. Yet most likely it's JNIM. The only current hostage I have ever been close to during my captivity was Julian Gergut, the Romanian. It was very early on, and I was never allowed to speak with him. I just saw him. So I have absolutely no information about him or his current whereabouts. I'm looking forward to telling my whole story at the right time and in the right way. For now, I will limit the information I share and continue to cooperate with authorities to bring these monsters to justice and to help get the other people out because they're living in hell. Thank you, and good to go?
Yeah.
I can handle some limited questions now.
Mr. Woodke, Mrs. Woodke, Jim Vocek with ABC Network News. My question is for both of you. First with you, Mr. Woodke. Was there ever a time where you did not think you would see your wife and sons again? And then the next question would be for you. Was there ever a time that you didn't think that you would see your husband again?
Yes, there were many times like that. I figured, and for the last year I was held hostage, I figured I was done. I'd given up.
Yeah, for me it was different. I remember when it first happened, I cried out to God. I want my husband home, and he did not say no. And I believe that God has never changed his mind. When he said no, when he did not say no 6.5 years ago, he did not say no every day. So I kept my faith that Jeff would be home. I lived every day in the faith that he would come home.
If I can follow up, please. Mr. Woodke, you said that there were days where you had lost hope. How were you able to keep going? How were you able just to keep keep living?
Yeah, well, faith, I think, in God. You might end up at the end of your faith as a human being, but faith is a funny thing. It stays with you whether you like it or not, I think. That and just my coping mechanisms that I had that I don't want to really share right now. Yeah, I had a number of coping mechanisms that I would going to, so I could just get through the day. And you just have to get through the day. Try and avoid contact with the idiots that are holding me.
What did you miss the most?
My wife, my children, my grandchildren.
Sophie with North Coast News Local ABC affiliate. You know, you've mentioned faith a few times, and how that did keep you going. Were there ever moments in time where you had lost faith?
Like I said, I felt, I used to pray when I first was out there. I had nothing else to do but to try and walk, but I was only allowed to be in a very small area. So you walk in circles, you know. But I would pray for up to 8 hours a day at first. By my last year, I thought, what's prayer doing for me anyway? But I couldn't stop. I could not stop praying. I could not give up on faith. No matter how angry I got, I couldn't give up. It just keeps on going.
I'm Ryan Burns with Lost Coast Outpost. Can you, I don't know if you can speak to this, but do you know the motive of the captors, why they held you, and then why they let you go?
Okay, that's getting into territory that I'm not really prepared to share on because it has to do with an ongoing FBI investigation.
Okay.
Motive is their business. I know why, but let's leave that one quiet for a minute. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
But I don't want to compromise things.
Yeah, no, I don't either.
Jackson Guilfoyle with the Times Standard. I was wondering, in both Niamey and San Francisco, were you diagnosed with any long-term medical issues stemming from your captivity?
Long-term, hopefully not. We'll find out once I finish physical therapy, and once I see a GI doctor. I might have to have some surgeries in my intestines, my stomach, my abdomen, maybe, and on my legs, but we're not sure yet.
Gotcha. And if you mind me asking, what are your current injuries?
Well, I've got GI problems that are chronic now. I've got an injury in my right Achilles from a rifle butt I was hit with, and my left knee is blown out, patella dislocates. All that's captivity stuff.
Thank you.
What were you fed?
I can't use that word to describe it on television. They gave me food twice a day, most days, some days not. I was fed something called tagila, which is a type of flour that's made into a bread. They bake it in the sand. And I ate that at lunch, and then I ate just boiled rice for dinner. That was it. Sometimes we had goat meat.
And is that diet the source of your GI issues?
Oh, I don't know what the source is. Probably that and the water, you know, it's not exactly filtered. So.
Mr. Woodke, Thaddeus Greenson from the North Coast Journal. You mentioned that you put on a hunger strike and that when your demands were met, you began eating again. And I'm curious if you can tell us anything about what your demands were.
I wanted to, like I said, I wanted to communicate with my family and with my country. And I was able to do both of those things in a way that I liked between November and December of last year.
Okay.
That was the first time I'd had contact with, or not contact, but that I saw a video that my family had done in years. Mm-hmm. I heard about COVID, but I had no clue if my family was alive or dead. Mm-hmm. I had no knowledge.
And were you able to get communications back to them as well?
Yes, I was, but I don't want to tell you any more about that. Yes is good enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
6 years is a long time.
5 months and 5 days, 6 years.
Or sorry, yes. Without in a childhood or without your children. could you kind of contrast, you know, has it been an adjustment, kind of reconnecting with your children? Have there been any major changes? How's that adjustment been, you know, reconnecting?
Yeah, I think there's definitely been an adjustment in coming back. You know, the world did not stop. And both Elsa and I, my family and I, we've been living parallel tracks for the last 6.5 years. And she didn't stop, my family didn't stop. They've been working tirelessly to get me out. And all of a sudden, thank God I'm back. And now it's time to learn how to be a family again. And that's a journey, and we're on it. And my wife can speak into it as well if you'd like to hear from her.
Yeah, I think in some ways it's like he's never been gone. You try to pick it up, but then of course there's moments during the day when you realize, yeah, you cannot just pick it up. But we're looking to just picking up our routines that we had, like, you know, the things that we used to enjoy together. And so we'll start there. So I think we'll be okay. Yeah.
Nice question. Okay, we're good to go? Any more questions?
What's something you noticed changed since you've been here last?
Oh man, you're all wearing masks. What was it? What did I need to do? Oh yeah. Oh, there's a lot of questions and things that I've been asked that would have never been asked me before, 6.5 years ago. I don't want to tell you what they were, but because they had to do with my medical stuff. I was just kind of amazed at how society has moved and changed and grown in positive ways. And the whole COVID thing, there have been a lot of changes, and every day. I was just talking to Dennis and Mike upstairs. I think I mentioned that somewhere. That changes. You know, my little brother asked me, "Have you seen any changes yet?" I had just been off the plane for a few hours, so I said, "Not yet, just some masks and stuff." But every day, you know, I notice just even people shaking hands like this, you know, like, what's up with that? Really. Things like that. Yeah.
One last question. I've heard, even just from people you know who have been incarcerated for long amounts of time, that it's difficult relating to people when you get back out, knowing that they haven't, and in your case, that they haven't the faintest idea of what you went through. Have you noticed that it's hard to relate or connect to people in that way, or are you able to kind of just, obviously not go back to how you were, but relate to them in the ways that are still there?
I don't know. It's hard to say. Crowds are a bit difficult for me to handle. A lot of people at once. We went to San Francisco. When I was down there, we just went out with my family. We went to Pier 39, and we're sitting there, and a child popped a balloon. Boy, I freaked out. So yeah, but relating directly to people, I don't think there's any trouble with that.
There's no barriers.
There's no barriers for me. It depends on the person, I suppose. Guys with big beards kind of freak me out a little bit. Otherwise, I'm good to go.
Any thoughts of ever traveling overseas again, ever doing your work again?
Yeah, I have thoughts, but I'm not sure where those thoughts are going to go. I don't think my wife or my family would ever let me go back to Niger, and I don't know if I ever want to go back there, honestly. But that doesn't mean that we won't. My wife is a Dutch national. She's from the Netherlands. We're gonna go see our family once I get a passport. So travel is not going to stop. Whether I travel back to Africa, Lord knows.
Before you leave, can we get the spelling of your the captors that you mentioned?
Oh yeah, sure.
Great.
I can show it to you.
That would be great.
Yeah?
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, or can we call it good? All right, thank you all for coming, and yeah, Lord bless you and let you do real good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.